Hi, hello everyone. I'm Mr. Coleman, and I'm going to cover the geography portion of the CUA exam. And again, we are taking our Unit 4 exam on this Friday. Just remember, you guys take your time and do not rush. And if there's a question that you do not know, please do not hesitate to ask the teacher. We will help you as best as we can. All right, so on to the geography portion. What we know about Europe so far, we know that it is roughly 3,800 square miles around the entire country. All right, so looking at this map right here, we're talking about the different regions in Europe. So we know we have the northern, the western, and the eastern. So north, west, and eastern. So in the northern part, we know that it covers Sweden, Norway, and Finland. So when we look at the western portion, we know it covers the Pyrenees, the Alps, countries such as Spain, Portugal, Germany, and Italy, and several others. And we look at the eastern part, we know about the Volga River, which is the longest river in Europe. And we know about the Ural Mountains is also in Eastern Europe. All right, so looking at this graph, we're looking at the continents by size. We know that Asia is pretty much the largest continent we have in the world. So scrolling down to the bottom where we see Europe, which is the second smallest. All right, so if you see a question similar to that, guys, just remember it is the second smallest, not the second largest. All right, so bodies of water. Historically, societies have always located near water due partly to the fact that the water enables more efficient travel compared to going overland. Waterways are critically important to the transportation of people and goods throughout the world. The complex network of connections between coastal ports, inland ports, rail, air, and truck routes forms a foundation of material economic wealth worldwide. So what we know about pretty much traveling over water is it's so much easier for these guys to transport goods and services than it would be to go over land. I mean, when we think about traveling over land, you have to deal with all the different traffic, railroads, same thing dealing with lights, cars, and several other factors that can slow down transporting goods. So when we think about transporting across water, there's not really much that can stop you unless there's, maybe perhaps a bridge may be down or other issues, but traveling over water is just that much easier than traveling over land. All right, so the Rhine River, we know that it is the longest river in Germany. So if you see the Rhine River, it is the longest in Germany and not Europe. So Germany is one of the countries in Europe, but not the overall size of Europe. So it is an important waterway for trade, and it begins in Switzerland, winds up through Germany, France, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. So again, it is the longest river in Germany and not Europe. Then we have the Danube River, or some people pronounce it Danube, which is the second largest river in all of Europe. So what is the largest river in Europe? It is the Volga. So the Danube flows through 12 countries, such as Germany, Austria, Slovakia, Hungary, Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Slovenia, Bulgaria, Romania, and the Ukraine. It is roughly about 1,770 miles long. So as the previous slide, we talked about how trade and transporting goods is that much better over water than land. We know that this river here played a vital role in the development of Central Europe. Then we have the English Channel, which is a small body of water that separates England from France. It is roughly 350 miles long. In the past, it was used as a good system of defense for England, and it is an important waterway for trade. Again, so as we look at all these different rivers, lakes, and of course here the English Channel, we know that they all have the very same thing in common, which is trade and transporting goods. All right, so here's our first breakpoint. All right, question number one. True or false? Physical geography in Europe affect the distribution of goods because the rivers and harbors provide cities with trading ports. So the answer to this question is true because we know that In our previous slide, we talked about ports and traveling, trading um, equipment through the ocean. So we know that the harbors, the rivers was pretty much used, what was used to transport goods. Question number two, by looking at this map, can you identify the countries labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? And these numbers are labeled Roman numeral. The first one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So A, B, C, or D, do you guys know the answer to this question? And you guys should have picked C, with 1 being England, 2 being France, 3 being Spain, 4 being Norway, and 5 being Sweden. All right, so the Iberian, Italian, and Balkan peninsulas. So as we look at this, we're looking at they're pretty much looking at this map, the Iberian Peninsula, Italian, Balkan Peninsula, and the Crimean Peninsula, they are all located at the bottom of Europe. So these were pretty much titled the Southern Peninsulas, okay? So the Pyrenees form the northern border. Second largest peninsula in Europe is the Iberian, and includes countries of Spain and Portugal, which is right here on the map. Europe is considered the peninsula of peninsulas. Many countries in the region depend on the sea for economic growth. So when we think about economic growth, we think about trading and transporting goods. Again, see how that keeps popping up. Europe also utilized railroad systems that transported goods for service. So the railroad system was also used to transport goods. Okay. Scandinavian Peninsula, which is the largest peninsula in Europe at 1,150 miles long. It consists of Norway, Sweden, and the northern region of Finland. So I don't know if you guys can see behind my picture, but right here, the Scandinavian Peninsula, we have Norway, Sweden, and right here behind the picture is the northern part of Finland. Its region is rich in timber, iron, and copper, and is home to, again, Norway and Sweden. The Mediterranean Sea. So the Mediterranean Sea is in between 3 of our 7 continents, which is Europe, Africa, and Asia. It covers an area of 965,000 square miles. The name itself means in the middle of the earth. And again, as we talked about, all these seas and oceans, it is an important route for trade and cultural exchange. All right, so our next breakpoint, true or false? Travel throughout Europe was done on railroad systems. This system was an example of service. So I don't think we covered this throughout the lessons throughout over the past couple of weeks, but this question is true. So anytime you see railroad system, we know that this is an example of providing service from country to country. All right, so our second question is, by looking at this map, can you determine what natural resources help support Britain and Germany? So the first thing we must know when we're looking at this map is understanding where Germany is and where Britain is. So we should have went over this when we did our geography, and we discovered that Germany is pretty much in this area, and Britain roughly here. So what is the answer to that question? Is it A, iron, B, coal, C, natural gas, D, petroleum? So the first thing we need to look at is what is pretty much the more dominant resource on this map. So we know that the answer to this question is coal. All right, so that's pretty much all I have on the geography portion. I wish you guys the very best on taking your exam on tomorrow. Just remember these 4 rules, as I always tell you guys when you're taking your test. Number 1 is please take your time. Number 2, use the process of elimination. Number 3, do not guess. If you need help, if you do not understand the questions, please reach out to your teacher or any other help that you can get, whether you're at home. Do not try to guess. Take your time. Use all the resources you can to pass this quiz. And lastly, if we did not cover it, then it's probably not the answer. So 9 times out of 10, I'm sorry, 10 times out of 10, between myself and the other history teachers, anything we go over is more than likely on your exam. Okay, so these are the 4 rules, you guys. Take your time, do not guess, and good luck on your exam tomorrow.